All right, well, I'm here today with Martijn Smit, who's an old mate of mine from VMware, and Martijn works in the sort of the network management side of things at VMware, and he's got a really interesting presentation coming up at VMworld, which I'm personally very interested in, and so I thought I'd get together with him, and Martijn, maybe you can just tell me a bit about what your session's going to be on at VMworld this year.
Sure, Bruce. Thank you very much for having me. So my session is called Automated Problem Resolution in Modern Networks. And it's basically what the title says. So we're moving towards a pretty cool state where the network could heal itself. And the session is all about like showing how that currently works within the VMware portfolio. So I'll talk about the data center use case, the cloud use case, but also the SD-WAN, the branch use case, and combining that all with a couple of very cool demos that we've put together on how it actually works today.
Fantastic. I mean, this is actually a topic of great interest to me. And, you know, one of the things that I've been following for quite a few years, really since as long as I've been involved in SDN, is this idea that networks have been quite difficult to manage because we had to sort of start with some high level idea of what we wanted, which normally wasn't written down in any kind of formal way. And then we would go and map that into a set of configurations of very complex and very distributed devices. And then if you got everything right and you pushed all the correct configurations into the right places, if you were lucky, the right thing would happen. And the chances that it was correct was not that high. And the chance that some sort of unanticipated side effect would happen was quite high. And it was probably about, I reckon, maybe 8 years ago, I heard somebody from Facebook saying, you know, we should be able to get software to do a better job of running networks than the way we do it today. And so it sounds to me like your talk is actually kind of taking us in that direction.
Yes, it is. So it's all about that new situation which you're talking about, where software is actually running the networks. Once that is in place, you also need some type of advanced monitoring, intent verification all over the entire network. So making sure that the security policies still are good in place, making sure that those networking constructs as we know it right now are actually continuing to function. So making sure that all the routing works, making sure that all the networks and the subnets and all of that is still there as we as our VMs and applications are expected, basically. But then once you get to that stage, you've got like an autonomous network. How do you go about and actually monitor that? Because honestly, software should do a better job at running our networks. However, we still want to keep that control over those networks, right? We do want to make sure that they meet their SLAs, or our SLAs, I should say, because the software may have an SLA, but we have our own against the customers. And basically what we need to do is we need to make sure that that network itself can correct or highlight any specific problems that it might see that it might not be able to auto-correct, and then tell you about it in a very profound, simple way, like this is wrong, period.
Yeah, it sounds great. And so what are the tools that you'll be using to help people, you know, kind of solve these problems?
So like I mentioned, the entire VMware portfolio, the network virtualization portfolio is going to be lined up. Front and center is going to be Virtualized Network Insight. That has a lot of that data coming in for the monitoring, troubleshooting aspects of it. VMware NSX Data Center, NSX Cloud, and then VMware SD-WAN for the branch. And then we even got a special guest from Intel talking about their line of Tofino switches, which is basically giving us the telemetry that we need, the streaming telemetry coming from the switches that gets translated in Virtualized Network Insight into actionable insights, and then turned into like a button that you can click to remediate a problem.
Oh, wow. That's excellent, because, you know, this is, again, it's a topic that I've spent a fair bit of time on, is these programmable switches. For those who don't know, the Tofino switches are based on the Barefoot Networks technology, and that's, you know, where P4 is used to program switching behavior. So this is absolutely, like, this is a full stack SDN demo you've got here, right? You've got SD-WAN, SDN in the data center, SDN in the cloud, SDN programmable switch hardware, and then a verification tool or a remediation tool to sort of tie it all together. This sounds fantastic.
Exactly.
I think I'm really looking forward to seeing this session. We'll put a URL into the video so that people can go figure out how to register for it. And when does your session go live?
Well, that's the perfect part. It's an on-demand session, so you can watch it whenever you want.
Oh, okay.
So when VMworld launches, you can basically just look at the content catalog and just stream it from there. We are playing around with a sort of a setup of an office hour. So we would broadcast a time slot where we would be available over Zoom to answer any questions live instead of the asynchronous way of consuming that video, right?
Excellent. All right. Well, this is great. I think we've got enough here to get people excited about the content, and I'm really looking forward to seeing it myself.
Awesome. Thank you.
Well, thanks very much for your time. Perfect.